So obviously, as a young boy, East End in Newcastle, it was football, football, football. You were out playing with your mates, you were out in your school playing, and when you were old enough, you were on the terraces supporting Newcastle United. My first game was 1980, and went there with family and friends, and you just were obsessed by the football. As I said, many of us, me and my friends, big groups of us kicking the ball around the streets. Well, I've said many times I lived the dream, and that's what I did. I've started my career at the club. I ended my playing career at the club. Fantastic to be part of an era when we had a special group of players under a special manager. The success we achieved in that period of time, and just walking out at a full St James's Park, 52,000, was just something dreams are made of, and thankfully for me, and I know how lucky I am, I achieved that dream. Special. I mean, certain individuals have a tie with the club, and he was that man. He came as a player and he rejuvenated the whole club. Before he arrived, it was flat. It was, crowds were smallish, and Kevin turned up as a player and just took the club onto a new level. And he done that as a manager also. He took the club to heights they never ever dreamed of, really, and brought in some fabulous players in that time, and it was obviously a special period. Yeah, because I'm very close with Andy. We knew each other from a very young age, teenagers, and it was brilliant news when I knew he was going to sign for the club, and his record is sensational. Is a Newcastle number 9 that I held in high esteem, and we've had some brilliant ones since and before. Andy's goals, I think his ratio of something like 64 goals in 83 games is as good as anybody's. I think the fact that, and I've put this in the book, the fact that he probably went to our biggest rival at the time in Manchester United, probably took that status away from him in terms of the Newcastle public. But I think over time he's gradually getting back to where he should be, and held in such high esteem. Well, obviously, while I was in between jobs, and my time in between, a bit of time on my hands, I'd sat down with Will, who's ended up writing it for me, Will Scott, and we just thought it was the right time, and I had a bit of time on my hands, but obviously as I was getting through writing the book, I got the job at Kilmarnock, so it slowed the process down a little bit, really. I mean, if I had still been an out of work manager, I probably would have got the book released a bit earlier. But obviously, the time that it takes to write a book is mean that you've got to spend a lot of time on it, and I couldn't do that over a short period of time once I was Kilmarnock manager. So it's took a little bit longer, but we've launched it today. It's my birthday, so we thought it was quite apt. So it's hopefully. Thank you. Well, there's many uh, people putting certain ideas. I mean, ultimately, Man United had far more players than us who'd experienced winning titles, and I think that was the nitty gritty of it. There's other reasons in there, and but to be 12 points clear at the end in February and not take on the title was a big blow for everyone, because for us to have won that would have held us in high regard if you go and win the Premier League, and unfortunately we didn't do it. We finished second a couple of times, and that'll always be the one that was so close but yet so far. Well, it wasn't. I'm not saying he didn't win it because of people not picking him. I just felt the FA Cup final, the now infamous FA Cup final against Nottingham Forest, was the game that stopped him from achieving and going on to become the best player in the world, and voted by his peers to win that, because he picked up that horrendous injury, and even though he still kicked on in his career and he had some brilliant times after that, he was never at the level in terms of where he'd been previously when he went to the '90 World Cup in Italy and was the main player in the World Cup. And so that was the saddest thing for me, that Paul didn't get the adulation and the personal gains that he deserved because of his footballing ability. Well, I did have my first spell as a reserve team manager at Newcastle, and started my coaching work there. Got on the coaching ladder, and that was always an important part for me, learning how to coach players, and so I thoroughly enjoyed that. And who knows in the future what the future holds. So we'll always just keep working hard and see where we go. it's absolutely brilliant. I think for me, I've been on record as saying he was the most important signing of the season for Newcastle. To keep a manager of the ilk of Rafa Benitez was a huge signing for the club. You know, for them to be in the Championship and still do that, and that's proved to be the case. He's made some tremendous signings, players who not only know how to get out of the Championship but can be assets for the club in the Premier League. And I believe, you know, when they do get back up, because of Rafa's ability and his stature in the game, his class as a manager, they will go on to bigger and better things in the Premier League, and they'll get back to where they were and being a successful Premier League club and not one that's perennially fighting relegation at the wrong end of the table of the Premier League. They'll go there. He'll be able to attract some of the best players in the world because he's a world-class manager, and so you know, lots of good years to look forward to while Rafa's in charge. Yeah, we've had a good result last night. We beat Heart of Midlothian, who could have went second. We had a good win against them last night, and you know, we're a smaller club in that league, in the Premier League in Scotland, but we're trying to progress the club. We just staved off relegation last year. You know, when I first got there through the playoffs. Now we want to progress up the league and see if we can have a more productive year. That's our aim, and then year on year build the club up. So that's my thoughts on that one.